So one more upgrade to the winch. We are going to be replacing this rubber side with a rope guard that Factor55 makes for the Flat Link Expert. First thing we want to do is put the winch in free spool so it releases tension off of this. Pull this out slightly. You see the little pin in here. I don't have a tool specifically for this, so I just do it this way, which is really simple. Pop the little clip out like that. This will just fall out like that, and that just comes off. Okay, so what the instructions say here, that you have to remove all the rubber pieces. So there's 4 pieces of rubber right here, and then 2 more on this side, and this is what presses up against the fair lead when you have it tied up against the front of the truck. So I'm going to pry these off. It says to pry them off carefully, but they should come off. And they're just held in by rubber barbs. So once you've cleaned this surface off right here, you just take this little rope guard from Factor55, and what it's designed to do is protect the exposed portion of the rope from the sun and UV rays. So it's made out of aluminum, and you take this open end right here, make sure it's pointed towards the back or away from the shackle mount, and you take these little rivets and just drop them in the holes. Like that. And then it says take a hard surface and a little metal punch and tap these in until they're flush with the top of the rivet, and that'll hold it in place. You can see the tops are all flush with the rivets now. That's in place, not going anywhere. So now we just need to reinstall the rubber bushings back on this side. And the reason why you remove them is to make this thing flat, so when you're hammering them in, you're not hammering up against that rubber bushing. Now they say to reinsert the rubber ends, put a little bit of a lubrication or grease on these little rubber barbs, and it helps them go in a lot easier. So I've done that. Oh yeah, that's simple. And that's it. Just need to reinstall it on the truck, and we're good to go. And just as simple as taking it off, we're going to put this back on. Drop that in. And we are all done. That looks really nice, really well made, and it protects the end of the rope from being exposed to the sun. You know, just this little area right here, which really isn't gonna ever get hit by enough sun to do any damage. All in all, maybe a 10-minute install. So here's a daytime shot of the Factor55 gear I have up front. As you can see, I have the new rope guard, which protects the synthetic line that's exposed to the sun. It was very simple to install, and it works very well. It's made out of aluminum. The fit and finish on it's just outstanding. Here is the Factor55 Flat Link Expert Edition. This is essentially a shackle holder that replaces the hook on the truck. And then of course my Factor55 Haas fair lead, which is the 1-inch version, which means it's an inch thick right here. I use grade 8 bolts to hold it onto the front and into the actual winch body assembly. And that's the setup I have. It looks fantastic on the front of the truck. I really think it looks amazing. Cleans it up real well, plus it gives it a nice flat profile. It has rubber bushings right here on the inside portion of this Factor55 flat link to protect it, as well as help it sit flat against the Haas fair lead when it's not in use. And it's tightened up against there right now. I actually used the winch just recently this weekend to recover a truck that had gotten stuck out on the beach. I wasn't able to film it because of the situation that we were in, but I use this quite a bit, and you can actually see where there's some scuffing on it already from where it's smacked the ground, and it's actually gotten some use out of it. You know, a comment that's pretty frequently asked is why I have a winch like this, why I have all my recovery gear, and people like to make the comment that it doesn't look like my truck is ever going to be in a situation where it needs to self-recover. I usually don't use my winch to self-recover. I use my winch to pull other people out or to move objects. I also use the truck to help recovery efforts whenever there is debris or any large items that are in the way that need to be moved out of the way. I don't take my truck into deep mud, and I don't go rock crawling. It's too heavy of a truck, it doesn't get enough bite to go mudding, and it's just a ridiculous notion in general to think that I take this truck rock crawling. However, there are a lot of situations where I use the winch to help others, and that's essentially the goal behind it. There are times when there are boats that have been stranded on land. There are times where people have had to move an object, or we've had to go out to the ranch to move something out of the way. We've had to clear a piece of debris, things like that, especially following hurricanes, that a winch comes in extremely handy, especially if you're trying to move a large tree trunk out of the road and you don't have a lot of space to hook up to it with a tow rope. So winches don't have to be used for self-recovery exclusively. In my case, I use the winch to help others. I use the winch to clear debris and other things that you really can't do by hand, or you may not even have the room to back up against to use a tow strap with. Anyways, guys, I hope you like this video. If you do, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Thanks, everyone.